Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'll be discussing with you the type of customers or type of buyers you'll be coming across throughout your time on Etsy. And these type of buyers, if you don't handle their situation or if you don't handle their request in kind of like in a timely manner or according to what they want, then they will get back to you in a way that it will hurt the reputation of the Etsy shop that you're running, and as well as your ratings and your stats for that particular month, such as achieving that bestseller status on Etsy. So stick around. I'll be discussing with you these type of customers and how to watch out for them and how to avoid them, and as well as help in a way to help kind of like increase the rating and the stats of your Etsy store, because that will really matter. Probably starting to ask yourself, why do I need to watch out for these buyers, or why do I need to keep an eye out or watch out for these signs for these particular individuals that will approach you and probably want to buy from you? Is because these type of buyers, they have very specific requirements and need and all sorts of agendas at the back of their mind. So first of all, if you don't fulfill whatever needs that they need, then from the towards half of the order or the journey with your store, then they would probably get back to you by posting a negative review on your store, and that will really drop your stats dramatically down. And it's insane how Etsy calculates these reviews and stars ratings in order to achieve those bestseller status. Okay, so the first customer to watch out for, or the signs for the first buyer to watch out for, that's gonna be frustrating to deal with later on if they place an order, is the customer or the buyer that keeps on sending messages and messages and messages, constant messages back and forth before placing an order. Now, if you happen to come across this buyer, trust me what I say, and please be grateful that I'm providing this free advice to you. Do not go ahead with that sale, because believe me, I've experienced these type of buyers before, and they have given me headache to deal with and to resolve their issue. So in order to save yourself a bit of headache in the beginning, just say sorry, whatever that buyer is looking for is not available in your store. Because what will happen is, let me explain to you what I experienced. So this particular buyer kept on going back and forth, asking all sorts of questions about this particular item that I was selling. So in the end, maybe about 20 or 15 messages back and forth, the buyer decides to go ahead and place the order with me. So the order is placed, it's processed now, it's delivered. Straight away, the buyer sends me another message. They're not happy with their order, they want to return. There's all sorts of mismatch and all sorts of excuses, and now they want to return it in order to get a refund. Otherwise, if a refund is not issued to them, then that they will be placing a negative review. Now, in the beginning, if I had known that this particular back and forth messages with this particular buyer would result in this sort of heartache in the beginning of those message exchanges, I would have said, I'm sorry to say that. I would have apologized to the buyer, and I would have said, I'm sorry, but unfortunately my store does not have the type of product that you're looking for. Please look elsewhere. And that's it. Etsy is filled with gazillion other buyers, so you don't have to hold on to this particular buyer in order to make a sale. No, just stick to your values, to whatever you're there for, and that's it. Save yourself a bit of heartache in the long run. Okay. Okay, the second type of customer or the second type of buyer that you want to kind of like avoid, and as well as watch out for the signs for this particular buyer, is everything is going fine throughout your day, you're logging into Etsy, you're doing your daily routine when you log into Etsy, and then boom, all of a sudden, because the thing is, Etsy does not really notify the sellers that there's a review been posted for on your store. So every now and again, when I was selling on Etsy, I would check if there's any new reviews or anything. So anyway, you stumble across a negative review, and you come across this particular customer that bought from you, and you never had any interaction with this customer. There was no communication, nothing. It was just a plain, simple, normal order being placed. But however, this particular customer provided a negative review, and it's already live and published and everybody can see it. Now, what do you do in this situation? The first thing you do is you need to ask yourself, or you need to put the possibility that this particular buyer might be one of those scammers. What I mean by scammers is there's plenty of scammers on Etsy. We all know that. There's plenty of them. And most of them come, unfortunately, from sellers, not only from buyers, so also from sellers. So anyway, this customer might be a scammer, so they purposely and deliberately posted a negative review. Why? Because they want a replacement, or they want either a full or a partial refund, and to keep the item with them and not have to return it back to you. I have honestly, hand of heart, experienced those type of customers before, and the only way to deal with the situation, because there's no communication between this customer and you whatsoever, the only thing that's been communicated is that negative review, and as well as when you reach out to them to wanting to obtain an explanation about why they posted this negative review without having prior communicated with you before posting that review, in order to resolve any issues. And then when you get the response, and the response says, I would be more than happy to edit and modify my negative review to a positive one if you kindly issue a partial refund, because this and this was wrong with my package. You know, I opened the package and it smelled so funny. Oh my gosh. So you see, the only way to deal with those sort of buyers is to literally issue a full refund or issue a partial refund. Most of the time I would issue a partial refund, and then I would say, due to our store policy, I am unable to issue you with a full refund. However, a partial refund at the moment is more appropriate, and that's it. End of story. And the next time you come across, and not only that, you also need to do one thing when you come across these reviews, and I will reveal that in my bonus part at the end of this video, so please stick around to know how to deal additionally with these sort of reviews in the bonus segment from this video. Now, the third and the most, how do I say, the most interesting type of Etsy customer or buyer you would come across with is this third that I'm gonna speak to you about now. So basically what happened with this particular customer is she reached out, everything was fine, I explained to her whatever she needed an explanation for at that time, it was given. Everything was super professional, everything. And also try and be more professional whenever you use Etsy's messaging feature, because everything is saved and Etsy can go back to those messages in case there's an investigation that needs to be done. So bear that in mind as well. So that's why whenever I message all these customers that reach out to me through Etsy's messaging system, I'm very professional when I respond to them. So anyway, everything was fine. The customer was very happy. She received her order. She was very satisfied. Everything was so good. She even posted a positive review. So she's literally ticking all the boxes at the moment for the ideal buyer or customer that you would want to have every single day or every time. So anyway, weeks go by, months go by, literally months, and to be more precise, literally 4 months later, I received a message 4 months later from this particular buyer stating that she would want me to send her a full refund of her item if it's not issued, then she would be complaining to Etsy that throughout those messaging that went back and forth between this particular person and myself, I happened to answer one of her questions, which was if I had an external website. So I said, yes, I have an external website other than Etsy, and this is the address of my website. Now, this is the mistake that I did. I didn't know that in Etsy's terms and conditions, buyers are not allowed to provide external sources of their sources of selling or merchandising to buyers. You need to always stick to Etsy. Do not deviate them away from Etsy. So that was kind of like a strike from Etsy that I received because I refused to issue a full refund to this buyer from having to threaten and everything. I have values. I would never just because this person is threatening to go and kind of like complain to Etsy. So I got a strike, an infringement strike, whatever strike they call that, for quite because I happen to not read that particular clause in their policy that buyers are not allowed to deviate customers away from Etsy. So anyway, that was my experience throughout dealing with these 3 types of customers that you might one day come across. Okay, so we come across the bonus part that I promised you in the beginning of this video, that I'll be providing you some bonus tips and tricks on how to deal with these reviews, whether it's a positive or a negative review that you receive on your Etsy store. Now, when you receive a review, whether it's a positive or a negative, and if it's the negative that's still not resolved, whatever the review is, please ensure to reply to that review, respond to it, so that your response is public. And what that means, when you're about to click on the respond to that review, you'll get a notification from Etsy saying that when you respond, your response, when published, will lock these 2 reviews and no edits or modifications will be enabled for the buyers or the sellers to modify these reviews anytime. So if you receive a positive review from a particular customer or buyer, quickly go and respond back to that buyer by saying thank you, looking forward to your next order with us or something. Just go ahead and say thank you. Even if it's a thank you, just say thank you and lock it and publish it, so that no edits can be done and no threats or nothing of that what we've discussed earlier in this video can happen to you. And that's what I'm coming across these days at the moment. I come across these stores on Etsy from buyers that have so much reviews that have not been responded to. Now, this is kind of like a time bomb that's ticking from some sort of an opportunity from a previous buyer that might go back and modify that positive review to a negative one in case they need something or some sort of a free item or a discount from you, anything. So please always respond to your review. And once again, thank you so much for watching my video for today, and hope you've enjoyed it. And if you did, I would really appreciate and be very grateful if you could subscribe to my channel, and if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. No pressure at all. Thank you, and we'll see you next time in the next video, so keep an eye out.